Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Let's Renovate a Doll's House Part 2. I've not forgotten this series, I've just had to put it on hiatus for a bit. It was having some rendering issues and things of that nature, so you see, I'm just going through here and prepping the second floor for everything. I do end up rearranging some things, moving around some doors. The room with the gym equipment in it at the moment becomes a music room, and I kind of get that inspiration a little later on. I do have some problem with the camera work, unfortunately. It just happens. Sims 3 is not my favorite for camera work, but then again, I'm not that great in The Sims 4 with it either, so yeah. Um, as we go through here, you see I'm just looking for textures and things for the science room, and I actually pause on this one. It's from late night, and it gives me the idea to do a music room since I wasn't sure what to do with that front corner room on the left side there at the top of the screen. That one right there. And that's what I eventually decide is going to be the music room, and that's the end of that. I wanted something a little organic to be in the science room, something that it was earthy and green, and I eventually go with something that came with Dragon Valley. So it's a little bit more fantasy, but I think it kind of works. It definitely has a natural feel to it, and I wanted to sort of play off of the fact that you can make plant sims using the science machines, and that you can also bring to life the oh, it'll come to mind in a second. The imaginary friends using the potions table. Unfortunately, I believe that hand towel ends up on the outside of the building, and yes, it stays there. I apologize sincerely when I do go to upload this to the resource, the Sims 3 resource. I am going to look through and remove that. And just make sure that it's not sitting on the outside of the building anymore. I go into university quite a bit. I go into the sets a lot because I remember where these things, what set this stuff came with, but I can't find it necessarily when everything is just open. So like I go to generations and pick up the table and things of that nature. I go into late night for almost all the music things because that's pretty much where all of it came with. So I just sort of go through and just check everything out, make sure everything's okay. I think, yep, here I'm grabbing the music stuff. I wanted to get the electric guitar, but that is in buy debug, and I do find it later on. And I figure I'm like, I'm not gonna worry about it right now. I'm not gonna sit and go through buy debug. I'm gonna have to go into it later on anyway, so I'll find it then. And I just kind of kept that in the back of my mind as I was going along here. I did struggle with the second floor bit. I didn't have as much of a plan for it. Like, I knew what I wanted on the first floor, I knew what I wanted on the top floor, but the middle floor was just a little iffy. I did figure that I would put in the not the woodworking table, the scrap metal table, the inventor's table, and the sculpting table in that back corner room there with what had been the girls' bedroom. Now I do mess with this quite a bit to make sure everything is workable, and I do move that door out of the way so we can put the drum set in there. You can reach everything in there. My Sims could do that. So, no big deal there. Now, I wanted to go with sort of a 1920s feel with this, a very Art Deco, sort of jazzy style, because that's just what the wallpaper reminded me of. And I was trying to go for some like parquet floorboards here. Really, it failed miserably. And I do end up going to regular floorboards. And I think they actually add. It's really nice. I really like the style and the way things ended up. And instead of taking, there is marble molding around the bottom of this wallpaper. So instead of taking the marble and putting it on the floor, like I wanted to make it really like dark and almost dingy. What I ended up in very Rat Pack feel. What I ended up doing was taking the floorboard coloring and putting it where the marble is on the wallpaper, and then just covering it that way, and just redoing the whole thing. So it just kind of it works, it meshes, it goes together nicely. And I believe I leave the curtains there, and I remember to put lights in here. And I love the chandelier idea. I do. I just think it adds a little bit of class. This bathroom undergoes several transformations. At first, I start with this style, and I love it to death, with the stalls on either end, and then the sinks in the middle. And you'll see me grab the hanging sinks here, and then I do something that oh, Simming with Abby. She suggested this in one of her videos, to use move objects and to put a table underneath those hanging sinks to sort of make your own pedestal sinks. And it's really neat. I really like it, and I was having a real hard time with the camera angles here to fix that. But it looks really cool. And then I just sort of changed the color of the towels in the front just for something fun, something funky. You know, it's like someone donated old towels, and that's what they're using. Which I guess is a little gross in hindsight, using a hand towel instead of throwaway paper towels. And I was trying to get those towels, like, just have extra ones on the shelf underneath, but it was not working, not at all. So I do go through and I put a hand soap pump here on the wall, and I think I eventually go back to that. No, I go into late night where it came from. Be like, no, I know it came with this set. Where did it go? Right there. That's it. And I do throw a mirror up as well. It's really cute. I think it works really well. And I play with a couple of them, but I eventually go with this mirror right here. I think it looks really nice. And as I'm looking at this going, I don't know if the Sims can reach, and I just move everything and rearrange. It's my moment here. It's like, I don't think the Sims can reach that. I'm moving everything. And eventually, I actually do take out 3 of the bathroom stalls and put in all-in-ones, because I remember that you can get singed off of those tables in the science room, off of the potion making tables, and I didn't want my Sims to have to travel home or die having been there. Now, those lights are custom content. I believe they are from Mod Sims. But they could also very easily be from the Sims Resource or the Sims Supply. Not the Sims Supply. Woo! That's a YouTuber. My goodness, I'm sorry, James. From the Sims Resource. That's where I was going with that. I want to say they are from the Sims Resource. Just putting a funky little plant in the corner just to make it feel a little more homey, a little more welcoming, a little more inviting. And throwing some art on the wall. Again, this is all from the Sims 3 resource, almost exclusively. And in the description below will be the links to all the places I go looking for my custom content. I love the black and white paintings. I really do. They are one of my favorites. I use them a lot. I use them a lot in my builds and in my own personal spaces. They're one of my favorites. So here we are. I'm going through looking at the logic stuff, because since we had access to that lovely wraparound porch, I wanted to put like the telescope out there, and I thought, since we have that and it works on logic, let's put a chess table outside. Why not? I mean, it's The Sims, right? You could do it. And I believe here I end up taking off my it'll come to me. My goodness, guys, I'm sorry. I'm having horrible time with words today. I end up taking off move objects, turning it off, I believe, sooner or later here to make sure everything works and is functional and sits together. Finding the lighting for outside was ridiculous. You can see I make it nighttime here again. Eventually what I do is I get porch lights, and I line the entire balcony with them. Because these just didn't look right. I mean, the concept was great, but it did not work. Yeah, I just go to the outdoor lights, and I'm like, you know what? Porch lights, there it is. We're done. It's perfect. One ends up hanging out in a space out there, thanks to move objects. And I just light the whole balcony, and I don't know how I grabbed the plant there. And then I just add a second one here, just right at the doorway to make it more inviting, to bring people in. And then I go to what is quite potentially one of my favorite rooms. And that is this corner room here that was the nursery. I end up making this the alchemy room. And it's really, and almost entirely a supernatural themed room. That, and I've said it before in other Let's Plays, but that is my absolute favorite expansion pack from The Sims 3. I love the content it added, I love the items it added. It's very gothic, it's very dark. And, I, you know, it might sound cliche, but I love that. And I was actually trying to bring up Alistair's Elixirs and Sundries here with the colors with the deep red and the gold. I end up realizing that it doesn't work for me. Um, and I was trying to go for a damask pattern without changing the wallpaper too much, but eventually I just go, you know what? F it. It came with Generations. I'm going to go pick that wallpaper up, the dainty damask, and just paint the thing. Just forget it. I wanted to have the border on it, but it just wasn't working. I couldn't find the right pattern. I know it's in there somewhere. I know it is. I just can't figure out which one. And again, here you see I was trying to figure out, what blood red, if I wanted to make the background that, or if I wanted it white. And I did realize eventually that I really, really liked the white and the blood red. And I eventually do make the background blood red and the mask pattern itself white, and it's super pretty. Now these curtains and I have some problems with one another. At first I wanted to, go to the opposite end of the spectrum, do a deep dark green, and sort of play off the blood red with that. And then I thought maybe, well, no, yellow, I can still bring in the gold from Alistair's Elixirs. No. It did not work. I struggled a lot with the curtains for this place because I wanted to use exclusively the Supernatural set, and these would have been great, except they do a funky coloration thing when you make them white, and you will see that later on. It's almost like it's got stains on it. It's really bizarre. At first I thought it was the lighting, and I really should have taken off Move Objects on when I go to put things against the wall because it snaps nicely to it, and it just did not. Some of those windows I had a hard time with. And as you see, I'm going through, and I make it that solid miscellaneous white. It's not super shiny or anything. And in the corner, it looks great. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And I just make the top piece all wood, so it looks like it has this beautiful little box over it. And it's wonderful. And I'm thinking, oh, this is great. And then I look at them, and I see this shiny strip on the bottom. And I'm just like, oh, what? Do they all have that? Is it the lighting? What's going on here? And here, like, is it the lighting? And no, it's not the lighting. It's just how they are. They just have this funny little shiny strip underneath where the tie backs are. So I eventually do go with base game swag curtains. And they undergo a couple of transformations. But is what I keep. At first I was going to make them white, and then I said no, blood red. And the bar that they're hanging on eventually becomes a dark wood color. I struggled a lot because I wanted to make this room perfect, and I think I overthought it quite a bit as I'm going through. But it happens with a lot of people, especially when you're doing something that you just really love, and you really want to represent it, and you want to do a fantastic job with it, and you just end up overthinking. And I was overthinking a lot, let me tell you was I overthinking. Now here I go for the floor, and I thought maybe I could bring the white out in the floor. Just have these perfect, pristine white floorboards. It didn't work well either. I try here with the parquet flooring, making it white. It ended up with this sort of blue shade to it, and it just looked awful. And very quickly I went, no. And maybe take it all the way and adjust it a little and give it this yellow tint, and it did not. And I quickly find other floorboards. So I just keep the theme very dark, very womb-like. And I wanted it to have this sort of mystical feel. And pardon me if I'm losing my words here. But I wanted it to feel very, very closed off, very warm, very something that engulfs you and envelops you and surrounds you with this very mystical, and you can see I'm changing the color of the windows on the inside because they actually are still that soft child colors. So I just go through and make it the same color as the floorboards. But yeah, I wanted this place to engulf you. I wanted that room to almost close in on you and surround you in warmth and life. The red, it is the color of life. It's the color of blood. And obviously, without blood, you're kind of hosed. Unless, you're Irish. And I say that not to be racist at all. One of my good friends here on YouTube, Blackout 1582, is Irish, and he jokes quite a bit that the There's a blood to alcohol level in every Irishman's blood. There's more alcohol than blood. So unless you're Irish, blood is what goes through your system. In which case, this would be whiskey. or or Guinness. So, as we go through, I put in 2 of the alchemy tables. They can reach that, and then I have boatloads of fun with everything from Supernatural. I wanted to place a lot of the bugs on here, like when you pull them out of your inventory, they're in these little containers, and they're great. And I thought, oh, buy the bug, I'll go through, I'll put everything on those shelves, and it failed miserably. And I love those lights, I do, and I don't get many chances to use them just because. And I go through and I make them white and red. I was just trying to figure out what was what color here. So, and I just change the coloring over. Again, I keep the white and red theme. I try to make every room very thematic. So here's buy to bug, testing cheats, and buy, and no. I went through a lot of things, but I did find some really neat sculpture pieces that eventually solidified the room next to it. And what I was doing there. So, some good things came from it. Some good things came from it. I do eventually give up on this whole buy debug notion, though. You see it just going through. I'm just pulling at everything, looking at everything, wondering what on earth I'm going to do there, if any of it will work. Because you can set things on those shelves in game mode, in live mode. You can put potions on it, you can put crystals, you can put bugs, and I wanted to be able to do that without having to sacrifice those things from my sim. And I thought you could find them in buy debug, and I was really searching here, guys. I really, really was. And I went through just about everything. Even finding the Alistair's Elixirs and Sundries sign. And you see that's one of the pieces I put in there. Because it's really funky, and I'm guessing those are things you can sculpt as you go along in the sculptor career. But they're really neat looking. I even tried with the little dragon from Dragon Valley. Nothing was sitting on those shelves ever. I threw out move objects thinking, oh, maybe you just need that extra push. No Sims 3. No, it did not. Eventually you can see I tried like hell. And I eventually get so frustrated that I just say, forget it, I'm deleting them all. No, I'm done. And that's coming up quite soon. I eventually give up. Oh, there's the electric guitar that I found and threw it over there. I knew it was there. It's one of the things you get after going so far in the music career, I believe. I believe it's actually the career path that you get that one from, and not just from leveling up the music skill, or the guitar skill specifically. It came with Late Night, I believe. And yeah, then I eventually think, oh, just one, and I can try just from the Supernatural expansion. No. It doesn't work, yeah, and then I give up. And I go and grab one of the side tables, and I eventually put shelves up on the wall. I ended up having to take off the filter there and grabbing the shelves that were from Generations. Which, they're great, they're a lot of fun. Unfortunately, when you overlap them, they do clip. And they clip even if you make them white and take away all the texture on them. It still clips pretty badly. So I threw in that pedestal from World Adventures, and I think it really does fit the theme. It's still got that dark sort of gothic feel to it, so I really do think it matters. It works quite well. And then I just go back into Supernatural and pull out everything possible. Pretty much all the decor. There's wands everywhere, there's expired potion bottles, there's oddities in jars, all over the place, that funky urn thing. So many piles of books and scrolls, because I figured, why not? You're in here, you're going to be doing all sorts of alchemy work. Have some books. Have all these scrolls. Look through them all. It's a little sort of organized chaos, if you will. Yeah, I eventually, I did not realize that the little end table there was pulled away from the wall till much later. I love those little paintings. In fact, I actually have them in one of my Let's Plays in the house. And this is here while I realized that it's not against the wall. Oops. And I was like, oh, I make a mental note to go back and fix that. But I wanted all the paintings and things, and they weren't sitting where I wanted them up higher, and they just were not sitting there. I think eventually I do just delete them. I was having a lot of I say forget it. I'll put in a different one. There we are. And then I color them white, and it actually really shows off the detail that is on the picture frames. I was really quite pleased with that. Because they're highly ornate, they're very detailed. And there's the nectar jars, which you think that would have actually come with World Adventures because you do get the nectary with it, and you can make um, wine and things from it. But it just didn't happen. I get the rug, the floor helper there, the rugs. Now I do realize that those alchemy stations in real life would have lit the room on fire because when you use them, the candles on top flare to life. And I just had this notion of having them right next to the drapery and just seeing the whole thing go up in flames. Fortunately, though, that doesn't happen in The Sims. So I did have a little trouble with this. It was getting very, very laggy, and shortly here I will actually be cutting out and saving the game and going back to this room. And I needed to take a little break. You can see here, even sped up, and I think this is times 4 speed. It took a long time to get this to change over, and I've cut out a lot of the wait time with it, and it's still taking a while. I was very nervous that this whole build was going to go south, because I hadn't saved anything up at this point. So I'm just making that black, just kind of working with it. So it's this, yeah, you can see here I saved everything and came back. And this is when I decided to make the TARDIS out front. Because I love Doctor Who. I'm not as much of a Whovian as a lot of people are, but I still really like it. And I thought that making that blue would just be a nice little homage to Doctor Who, since this whole place is quite strange. Saved it all again just to make sure everything stuck, and went back in here. I had to step away from that room for a little while, from the supernatural room, because I wasn't sure what to do with the decoration, and I figured, you know what? I'm going to look up a really pretty color here for this room, and I wanted to make it sort of neutral toned, but still bright, and I went with this really nice burnt sienna color, and I was actually looking up the hex colors for the hex numbers for it, and you see me go back and forth and try a couple of different colors to get what fits. I really like the diamond pattern on this, so I wanted to keep the pattern, but I wanted to make it very subtle, and I just wanted to have the same color, just like 1 or 2 shades off from each other, and I think it really ends up very, very nicely. I do struggle a little with it. I thought maybe yellow with it, and then I was just like, no, no, that's horrible. And you see I'm just looking up another color here to fix it with. Um, and I play around with it a couple of times. Do I want a different color here? Do I want, and I eventually do pick something very, very close to this. And you'll see once I move it over to the upper portion. Like I said, I just wanted it to be warm and inviting, but not ridiculous. So I do go around, I take the flooring and cover the whole thing with it. I sort of wanted to give this feel like they pulled up the carpeting and they saw this really nice knotty floorboard underneath, and then they just sanded it and shellacked it a little, and that was the end of it. But they didn't sand it very well, so the floorboards are they're not all the same color because it's had years of people staining it and painting it and covering it, to really. I wanted to give that old feel to it. And I think it did a pretty good job with the multicolored floorboarding there. Now, because this is a crafting room, because it's a sculpting and metalworking room, I wanted it to be full of light. Full of light. Absolutely full of light. So, what I end up doing is 2 of the walls I make entirely windows. I was trying to match some of the colors with that little inside swirl bit, and it just didn't work. So you can see there's one of the tinkering tables, and I know it's a Minecraft term, but I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. And I do end up having to move the sculpture pieces out of the room, and unfortunately the hands have to go because I want 2 sculpting tables and 2 metalworking tables, and it took forever to get the placement right, for everything to be functional. And you see me struggle with this quite a bit. I didn't want it in front of the windows per se, but it ended up happening that way, and I actually think it works pretty darn well as we go along here. So you can see me just kind of struggling with it, figuring out what windows I need, and I eventually do decide on those windows, the big guys there. I just take the color out of from the door there. Whew, pardon all of my lack of words here. It's been a while since I've seen this, so I'm trying to do this and still sound cohesive. I realize it's difficult at times. You see me finally pulling out the sculpture bits and just going through, picking up another table there and another sculpting bench. They are all functional. They can get to all of the pieces there. I've had my sim go to all of them. They are work withable. And I just put the little inspiration items over there, and then I window the whole wall, just the whole thing. It's the regifted window, and it is the little window schmindo. I think that's the little tiny one is called. Like I said, I completely forget to light this room as I am going through it because the windows let in so much light. It didn't even dawn on me that there were no actual lights in there till my sim was at this lot at night. And then I went, oh, oops. And here I decide to put the little bust on the pedestal there and put a little painting of the woman that it is of, or it sort of looks like it could be of her, right above it. And I do struggle a little with the placement, just because. And I'm like, well, if that one works, why won't this one work? There. So just something kind of nice and sweet. And I think it adds to the room quite a bit. Having that bust right above it, and then I decide to add the coloring to the wood there to pull the theme in. I really wanted that theme just about everywhere. And I do end up changing the door as well. That Mag's greenhouse door. That's what that is. The Mag's greenhouse door. And I eventually do throw my move objects back on again to put things underneath the that little side table there. Did I do that now? Yes, that's what I was thinking of doing now. And I really do. I fill that space with potions. I really do. I take a couple of those different because I wanted to use a lot of the potions and a lot of the different potion types because they have a couple sets of them, of the expired potions, just in different bottle sizes, different colors, and I wanted to fill that full of them. And you see, I get very close and just kind of hold down my alt key and fill that space with the old potion bottles. And I sort of feel like if you're making potions and things, you need to add extra stuff to your potions anyway, so those are other ingredients, and they just didn't have space for them. And here I go through a couple of the different colors, and I really like this one for this room, for the theme of this room. And then I just make the inside blood red. Because that is my theme color for this room. It's blood red and white. And I kind of look at the frames on those paintings, wondering is it just the painting or what? Why is it not looking quite so white? But as you can see, since I changed the color there, it was white. And I do struggle a little with this wall in this room, as I wanted to add some sort of funky, very artistic, paintings. Oh, pardon me. And I eventually go with this, and that's another from the Sims resource. I love to death. I do. And we're going to be going into the screenshots right here. And you will be seeing, this room didn't change at all. Now, this is in the daylight, so that looks normal. I do love a lot of these rooms. You can see my sim there is sculpting from my current family. You can get to all those tables. You'll see in the corner there that I did indeed change the the bathroom up to have the... Oh my gosh, words and things. I have no words and things. To have the all-in-one bathrooms from Island Paradise. I love that shot. And then there's this room. You can see we have a lot of simmies from the town as well. So we're near the end here, guys. Have a great day.